Hello! In this video, I'll show you 3 ways of deriving an SDR version from your HDR grade, using the result column management and also the built-in Dolby Vision iCMU. So, after you completed your high dynamic range grade, you also want a standard dynamic range version. Oftentimes, I get a much better result when first grading in HDR and later converting to SDR, compared to if I grade directly in SDR from the beginning. Some colorists also suggest that even if you're delivering only in SDR, you should still grade in HDR first, and then convert to SDR for the best results. Now, there are different ways of accomplishing this. You can, for example, change the output settings in the result column management, and combine with adjustments to the grade to derive an SDR version. Or you can use results built-in Dolby Vision iCMU to generate an overall adjustment that brings the whole video into SDR, and create a custom HDR to SDR conversion LUT from that. Or use the Dolby Vision iCMU to perform a shot-by-shot analysis to derive an even better SDR version. So let's start taking a look at how to use the result column management to derive an SDR version. I'm going to use one of my own HDR videos called Springwater in HDR, The Forest. To create an SDR version using the result column management, we must first go into the color management settings. And since we're using a color managed workflow, it's easy to change the output from HDR to SDR. So let's say that we want an SDR version in Rec 709. It's as simple as setting the output color space to Rec 709, and the output transfer function to gamma 2.4, or the gamma you prefer to work with and have your monitor calibrated to. Also, make sure that your OLED TV or grading monitor is set to Rec 709 and the gamma you have chosen here. Let me know if you would like to learn more about how to calibrate your C9 or CX series OLED for SDR. You should also change the limit output gamma to from P3D65 to output color space, since we now want to limit output gamut to Rec 709, which is what we have selected as the output color space. If you now press OK, we can see that the footage is too bright and that all the latitude won't fit in SDR. And this will differ depending on your grade and how bright you made it. To solve this, we'll have to add trims to make the shots fit in the more limited SDR range. I'm also going to change the scopes to show IRE values instead of nit levels, to not confuse myself during the SDR trim pass. So let's create a node. I'm going to call it SDR curve, and bring the shot down into the SDR range. For this, I like to use custom curves with editable splines enabled. This will roll off the highlights so it all fits in a more narrow SDR range. As you can see, I'm doing this as a global adjustment. This is partly for the sake of this tutorial, but also because all the shots were graded to similar brightness levels, without the use of tonal ranging. When working on a more complex grade, you would want to add SDR trim adjustments to every shot, and to save time, it would be smart to organize similar shots together by using, for example, flags. You may also want to perform additional adjustments to the grade, other than adjusting the brightness and highlight roll-off. Personally, I much more prefer to use the Dolby Vision iCMU to derive an SDR version from my HDR grades. So let's take a look at that now. iCMU stands for Internal Content Mapping Unit, and is part of the Dolby Vision workflow, to help you create a Dolby Vision deliverable, where a key part is the process of deriving different deliverables for lower brightness displays, like for example 100 nits SDR. I'm going to show you 2 ways of using the iCMU. Firstly, using a clip-independent analysis, and secondly, using a global analysis for the whole video. The clip-independent analysis will give you the best results, especially when you have a more dynamic grade, and are using techniques such as tonal ranging. The benefit of a global analysis is that since there's only one overall adjustment for the whole program, you can derive a custom HDR to SDR conversion LUT from the analysis. So let's start with a clip-independent analysis. As you can see, I've created a new project, and I prefer to perform the iCMU analysis in a separate project after I've rendered the original HDR video. Now, it's important to note that what I'm about to show you is not a Dolby Vision workflow, but merely a method of deriving a great SDR version using the Dolby Vision iCMU. So let's import a rendered version of the same video that I just worked on. Since I'll be doing both a clip-independent analysis and a global analysis of the video, I will import both the complete video clip and also use the scene cut detection function to automatically split up the video into the different shots by automatically detecting the cuts. This is easily done by choosing Auto Scene Detect. After the analysis is finished, I just select Add Cuts to Media Pool and close the window. When adding these shots to the timeline, I noticed that the first cut was missed, so I'll have to add that one manually. Now, if you take a look at the project settings and color management, I'm not using a color managed workflow here. However, to use the Dolby Vision iCMU, we have to check the Enable Dolby Vision box, and since the video was mastered at 1000 nits in Direct 2020 color space limited to P3 D65, I will select that option in the drop-down menu. Before we start analyzing these shots, it's important to note that if a video has a letterbox, meaning visible black bars, you want to set the output blanking by going to Timeline, selecting Output Blanking and aspect ratio of your video. If you don't do this, the Dolby Vision analysis will be faulty. This particular video has an aspect ratio of 2:1, but instead of selecting that option, I'll go to the project settings. And in the master settings, change the resolution to 1920 by 960. To analyze the shots, let's go to the color page. Here you can see the Dolby Vision tab has become available. Since you want to create an SDR version, the target display output should be set to 100 nit BT709. Then it's just a matter of selecting Analyze All and wait while the iCMU does its thing. Once it's finished, make sure that the box next to Enable Tool Mapping Preview is checked. And you can see that we now have a really good HDR to SDR conversion. To access the primary and secondary trim controls and fine-tune the conversion, you will need a Dolby Vision license. But that's only necessary when creating a Dolby Vision deliverable. For this workflow, it's possible to use the regular grading controls if you wish to make further adjustments before rendering out your SDR version. In this case, I'm happy with the result, so let's render out the video. Except for setting the desired resolution and codec, the only thing you have to do is go into the advanced settings and choose tone mapping. Select Dolby Vision and the 100 nit option. If you don't select this, you won't include the conversion made by Dolby Vision analysis, which means that the video won't look as intended. I'm going to name the video Springwater in SDR, the forest. And add it to the render queue. And that's it. So let's now add the full video without any cuts and take a look at creating a custom HDR to SDR conversion LUT using the iCMU to perform a global analysis. I'm going to start by running the analysis on the whole video and choosing Analyze Selected. Since the analysis will create one adjustment for the whole video instead of every shot, the color grading should not be very dynamic in terms of brightness, and for the best results kept at similar levels during the entire video. If we now compare the two conversions, we can see that overall they are quite similar, because the shots within the video are graded to match each other. The only big difference can be seen on this clip, with the sun rays coming in over these branches, which is brighter in the global analysis compared to the clip-independent analysis. Now, to create the custom HDR to SDR conversion LUT, you can't use the simple way of right-clicking the clip thumbnail as you normally do. Instead, we'll use an older function on Resolve, which analyzes a pattern to know what changes have been made to the image. To do this, you first need to go into the project settings. Click on Master Settings and make sure that the timeline resolution is set to 1920 by 1080. This has to be done because the pattern used in this process, called trimlut0.dpx, uses this resolution. The fastest way to find the trimlut0.dpx file is to go into the color management, and from there open the LUT folder. In that folder, you just need to go up one level, and there you will find the trimlut0.dpx file. Copy it to your desktop or another folder, import it to the mirror pool, and add it to the timeline. Now copy the grade over from your video to the DPX clip. This will also copy the Dolby Vision data, which you can see both by looking at the statistics down here, and also by how the test pattern changes when checking and unchecking the Enable Tone Mapping preview box. Now we are ready to generate the actual LUT. Go back to the color management section in the project settings, and at the bottom you'll find Generate LUT from Analyze Pattern. Choose a name for it and click Generate LUT. This process takes a short while to finish. When Resolve is finished creating the LUT, you can open the LUT folder, and in there you'll find the LUT we just created. As a last step, it's good practice to verify that the LUT actually works. To do this, add another layer of video to the timeline. Shorten the clips to where you wish to compare them. And apply the LUT to the new clip. When toggling between clips, you can see that they are very similar, and that the LUT actually works. A conversion LUT like this can be nice to have if you want to display your HDR video on an SDR monitor, without having to render out a separate version, or to attach when uploading your video to, for example, YouTube. This will give you more control over how the video appears when displayed in SDR, compared to if you instead rely on YouTube's own automatic SDR conversion.